Atlanta is one of my favorite shows, and Season 3 Episode 8 New Jazz is one of my favorite episodes. It's probably the densest episode in the show and gives an interesting look at Al's psyche in a way that reminds me of The Sopranos. Using hallucinations to manifest El's subconscious feelings makes for an episode where there's a lot to look at from beginning to end, which is what I'm about to do. While there is some interesting stuff at the very beginning, like Darius' interest in space cakes possibly being another coping mechanism for him, I want to begin with when Al's hallucinations begin, and personally I think that's around here, when the boys chase after him. This is likely a manifestation of the scarier aspects of fame. His celebrity status got him jumped by a few boys earlier in the show, and this continues to haunt him. Now to look at the rest of the episode properly, we gotta account for the reveal at the ending, which is that the woman Al hallucinated throughout the episode has the same name as his mom. Throughout the episode, Al's quote-unquote mom critiques him and says Al's circle is untrustworthy. The reason I think he has his hallucination is because, as the Woods episode shows, Al feels very lost without his mother. This is probably compounded by Al and Ern's ever-grown distance this season. This distance results in a lack of trust, and this manifests as his mom looking out for him, but more on this later. The reason I bring this up now is because the most stressful scene in the show happens and these motherfuckers actually steal a random lady's baby and play catch with it. Thankfully, this seems to just be another hallucination. I see this as a manifestation of his feelings of powerlessness. His mom died, this scary celebrity world grabbed him up, and there's nothing his mom could do to help. Next, Al turns around, sees a lady crying, and gets dismissed because she's just acting. Could just be random Atlanta things, or it could be an illustration of how Al feels like he has to be inauthentic in order to survive the celebrity world. Fronting is a necessary part of the job, as you realize in season 2, not much different from how this woman is putting on a performance. It's also possible that the woman sobbing represents Al's current despair, but that Al is dismissing his feelings, similar to how the woman dismisses Al's concern for her. We move on to Al entering a museum and finally encountering Lorraine, aka the stand-in for his mom. The very first thing she does is shit on his hat and imply that Darius, who complimented his hat earlier, is a yes man. This tells us that Al low-key thought his hat sucked too, and his current paranoia about his friends could be fake also made him suspect Darius was just sucking up to him for the sake of it. She goes on to criticize a bunch of different works in the museum, which makes me think that the museum might entirely be a hallucination. It might represent his career as an artist, and her criticizing all these works is actually just her disparaging his tracks and his career as a whole. She even says soon after that she hates rappers, which is a possible sign that Al's mom did not approve of this life path for him, or at least that Al thinks she wouldn't. Lorraine says she hates how aggressively rappers mention pussy, and this is a bit reachy, but I think this is an indication that Al feels some sense of guilt about his misogynistic lyrics. She goes on to insult him for not owning his masters, which we know at this point in the video is Al distrusting Ern and feeling uneasy about this. But what I find interesting is that Lorraine proceeds to offer him a goofy hat so that Al could fit in the crowd better. If we look at this with the lens of Al wanting guidance from his mom and feeling like his friends are insufficient, then this part of the hallucination makes a lot of sense. The whole season is about how the characters feel like fish out of water in Amsterdam. This is a new environment they're not used to and must adjust to. So it's natural that Al feels like they can't help him out when it comes to fitting in this place and needs his mom help for that. This contextualizes why Al imagines Lorraine as a young woman around his age, because he's looking for a replacement to his same age friends. And so now they go to a very bizarre club with Lorraine's friends. They talk about how Lorraine is promiscuous and ask about his relationship with her. I think Al imagined this for two reasons. Firstly, to hone in that his relationship with Lorraine is anything but sexual, reinforcing that he wants his mom. Secondly, it could be a hint that Al had a lot of stepdads growing up. So Al leaves and the Liam Neeson scene happens. Honestly, I don't think anything too interesting is happening here psychologically. It's funny and effective as hell, but the scene is just social commentary about how white celebrities don't have to improve. An in-universe explanation is just that Al agrees with the point of the scene, I guess. But what I do find interesting though is that this is only a few episodes after Socks calls himself the white Liam Neeson to try and intimidate someone. It's possible this is why Liam Neeson is fresh enough in Al's mind for the hallucination to happen. Not just that, but Neeson could even be a stand-in for Socks here. Socks' performativity is possibly what has Al imagine Neeson's performative apology. Anyway, Al finds out that this place is a cancel club, which we can surmise is being seen because of Al's fear of the public scrutinizing him. I find the next scene cool as hell though. An MP on stage is ready to call someone to clown on. Lorraine has Al leave the place, and after he leaves, it turns out the spotlight was about to go on Al. If we combine this with what we learned earlier of Lorraine hating the rap scene, this can be seen as his mom saving him from the parts of the celebrity life that give Al anxiety. She had him leave right on time and thus prevented the worst case scenario. This could even speak to a desire Al has of being rescued from the rap scene altogether. We get the climax of the episode where Lorraine lays into Al, expressing Al's distrust of his friends and how he needs her to hear the bitter truth that his friends won't provide him. She points out that if he doesn't get to hear the truth, then he's white. I find this interesting because season 3 centers around how the characters are climbing the class ladder and becoming quote-unquote white. This line contextualizes a lot of season 2 and sheds light on the fact that Al probably values authenticity because he fears losing his roots once he ascends the class ladder. This ties into what Neeson said about how white celebrities don't need to improve. From Al's POV, they're surrounded by yes men and people who don't keep it real like Lorraine does. She even says that she's all he's got, which is natural given how aimless he feels without his mom, and she even takes care of him in a motherly way when he collapses. Now, it turns out that Al on the ground was the same guy Al and Darius saw earlier in the episode, as Darius's comment, "Don't be like him," rings in Al's mind. I don't think actual time travel happened here, and I also don't think Al has been tripping since then, considering they saw the guy before they got the space cakes. I see this as a metaphorical thing, where Al became the guy Darius warned him not to be. The point being that maybe his friends are keeping it realer than he thought and giving valuable advice that he should have heeded. So afterwards we get Ern taking care of Al and confirming that Al owns his masters. It's a nice way to resolve the growing distance throughout the season and assure Al that his doubts were unfounded. He doesn't have his mom, but Ern and Darius are still there to help him and look out for him. It's a neat parallel to the end of season 2 where Al keeps Ern as his manager simply because they're family and family looks out for each other. Speaking of, this brings me to Lorraine and another reason why Al imagines her. At the end of the Fubu episode, we get Ern and Al's moms telling the boys to look out for each other. I think Al doubting Ern subconsciously made him feel like he's letting his mom down, which is one reason why Al imagines his mom expressing his doubts. It would make him feel less guilty for having these doubts if it turns out his mom validated them too. An additional reason why I think Al imagined his mom is honestly because of how ruthless she was. Of course, Al wants someone who isn't a yes man so he could feel safer, but I think part of the reason why he felt suspicious of his friends to begin with is because his mom probably criticized him a lot, just like Lorraine did in his hallucinations. That's why he feels some comfort in this and subconsciously desires it. It's why he feels uneasy at a lack of it. But the fact of the matter is that Al was tripping and his doubts were not true. His friends were looking out for him, it's just that they don't criticize him the way his mom used to criticize him. This episode is beautiful and intriguing, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, and I definitely hope that this video helped you appreciate it more. If you want to support the channel and get additional perks like polls, discussions, and sneak peeks, feel free to become a member. It would help a lot. Thanks for watching.